So I see so many anti-gun posts, so much misinformation, and I'm not going to argue with somebody who is not even going to do the research to educate themselves on anything that they're trying to speak on that is misinformation. I have learned that even though you can give them proof all day long, they're still going to have the wrong opinion. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to dislike guns. I totally get that. I lost a friend to a gun. I can see how that would make somebody very anti-gun. But being raised the way I was, I know that it isn't the weapon of choice, but the person that's doing the crime. So there's two incidences in particular that being a gun owner really changed two situations that could have went badly. One was a few years ago. Everybody knows we have chickens. We have a large chicken coop. Now, I want to say that the kids had closed the coop at dusk, and when our dog went out to go use the bathroom, he was raising Cain, and my husband went to see what he was barking at. Noticed the coop door was kind of open, but I don't remember if that was the case or it just hadn't been closed and he was going to close it, which normally would have been the kids. Well, when he got down close to the coop, two people tried to sneak out, and when he shined a flashlight on them, they froze, like standing there like, if we stay here, he can't see us. And he got my attention, and my first thought was, you know, there's an animal out there. So I grabbed the shotgun, because where we live, coyotes are bad. It's one of the, I mean, you can sit in our yard and hear them a lot of times, and you can look out our window at night and see them in the woods behind our house. So when I go out there and I realize it's the lady down the street that is a known meth addict and pillhead, along with another woman that is the same way, and they're both known thieves. They're both known to be violent offenders, and the way that they started acting, now our backyard is pitch black, so the only light I had was the light that was on that my husband had on. So I fired off a shot through my shotgun, which they of course, as soon as I heard it rack, they started running. And I knew I wasn't going to hit them, but they were in our coop smoking meth, and they had been stealing from us. And so I called the cops, and I told them the truth. I said I just shot at two people that were doing drugs in our chicken coop, and I know this sounds redneck as crap. And I told them, you know, somebody needs to get over here and handle this, because if they come back, this can get really bad. So they came out there, and the guy told me that I had every right to do what I did, and if she came back and I could safely restrain her, that he could come back and arrest her. Well, not long after that, my daughter, it was a little bit after that, she went out to close the coop one night, and in the dark, just at a glance, me and her would look the same. Back then, she's a lot taller than me now, but back then we would have looked the same. Well, this crazy-ass woman, the same one that was smoking drugs in our coop, charges her, and my daughter comes back in. So I go out again, and after that, there was a rule. Nobody goes outside after dark, which is crazy where we live, without adult supervision to do anything, or even close to dark without adult supervision. And I would always carry a gun, because it's just me and the kids here at night. I have my concealed carry permit. I'm on my own property anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Then there was the incident yesterday. That incident was getting so bad, the cop actually said, hey, do you mind to take the kids and go while we deal with this? Because it's bad. And so while we were waiting for the police, I wanted to make sure that she wasn't dead, and that was my main concern. But I also didn't know she was hiding something, because a lot of people in this area, and it's common in rural areas, are on pills or meth or something. Some want to say it's, I mean, you know, statistics want to blame poverty, and I can see that, because a lot of the more rural areas that are a little bit less fortunate usually do have a high drug rate. Sorry, I'm still having issues speaking. And when I called, like, I walked right up on this woman's car, and I only did it because I had the kids locked in, and I had my daily carry with me. I walked up on her window, and she didn't move. So that scared me. And being that I've seen somebody in similar situations, and I know what can happen when they first wake up or get disturbed, that it can be bad. And the last thing that I ever want to do is to hurt someone. So I kept us locked up, waited for the police, while I kept myself armed. 911 actually asked me if I tried to wake her up, which is unsafe for both me and her, because if she would have acted aggressive towards me because of the drugs that she was on, because she was on meth, it could have ended very badly. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to hurt anybody. The last thing that I've ever wanted to do is have to use my firearm. I don't even want to have to pull it, but unfortunately I've had to. So while I'm waiting on the police, they get here. They couldn't hardly get her to get her door open or her window down. She wouldn't roll her window down. She was too messed up to roll her window down. As soon as she woke up seeing cops, she tried to floor it with her car in park, because her car was on while she was knotted out like that in front of my house. Now keep in mind, this happened between my house, where there's 2 children, and a church that is actually a bus stop in the middle of nowhere. This isn't a city. This is, I mean, a rural country. People not paying any mind to the fact, out-of-state license plate, car packed to the brim with luggage and stuff. There was a little dog in the car with her that I felt bad for once I realized. And when the cops finally got her attention and got to her, she wouldn't roll the window down at first, and they were about to bust the window when she opened the door, and she was so out of it, she tried to get out with her seatbelt on. And the first thing they did was pull a glass piece out of her door handle, then drugs, then more glass pieces, then drugs, and then they were going through her stuff. And the officer actually came to me and said, look, with the way that she's acting and the things that are going on, and you have 2 children here, one that is rather young, I would feel more comfortable about the situation if you guys weren't here. I'm not telling you that you have to leave, but I would feel safer about the situation until we get her detained and off property for you guys to leave. So, you know, if I had have been like everybody else that was driving by, because I would watch them, this side street is a dead end. I was watching people that live here drive by, see her slumped over, do a U-turn, come back around to see what they were seeing, and I tried to flag a man down, and he did not stop, because I was just going to ask him if he minded to sit with us until the police got there, because I didn't know if I should leave. Plus I wanted to make sure that she was okay. You know, so a lot of things. And the officer, when he come up, I was talking to him. He knew that I had a concealed carry permit. He knew I had a gun on me. And he told me, he said, you done the best thing that you could have done. And if anything would have went wrong, you have the ability to protect you and your children. And I would hurt somebody over those kids too if I were you. But I see why you don't want to. But I also have enough humanity that even though I knew that she was likely on drugs, I didn't want her to die. Because I have loved ones that have fought addiction and have been to the point that they almost died. I don't care that she was doing, I mean, I do care that she was doing drugs. I just don't want, human life is that important to me. I don't know this woman, and seeing that hurt me because I've seen it before with people that I know. And all I wanted was to make sure that she was okay. And if she wasn't, that she hopefully got the help that she needed before it was too late. And now all I can say is that I really hope that she gets the help that she needs before she kills herself, or she ends up in a situation like this where somebody doesn't stop and think and actually goes and tries to wake her up, and she reacts the way she did to the police and she gets shot or something worse, or even passed out like that. Somebody could have raped her, anything. You know, there's a lot of situations like that. And yes, I feel bad. I don't like calling the police on people. I don't ever want to have to use my daily carry. But that's why I carry. I am a mother of 2 children. One who's very young. Well, he's not very young. He's 11. And my husband works midday through the middle of the night. So it's just me and the kids here. And I know from experience how long it can take to get a police response here. And it's not the police's fault. It's just because of how far out we live. And sometimes they can be a little understaffed. So I understand. But the officers were so nice yesterday. And they got her out of here. She was okay. She went to jail. Her dog went to Young Williams. I've got an update on the dog because my kids were worried to death about her dog. And I'm just glad that she was okay and wasn't in the shape that could have been deadly. But I'm also glad that it didn't turn into a situation that would have put me and my children in harm's way where I would have had to use a firearm. Because with people like that, it isn't a matter of trying to get away, trying to hide, trying to wait on police. I don't know how many of you have ever dealt with somebody that's on hard drugs, that is in a violent mood. You can't stop them most of the time. I've seen it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I'm not chancing that with my children. And for those that don't understand about AR-15s, for some women that are my size that aren't used to shooting the shotguns and stuff that I grew up shooting because we're hunters and all that, AR-15s are easier for women to handle. It's not a large round. .223 is not a large round. 5.56 not a large round. So if it's chambered for both, neither are large rounds. It's easier for smaller women to handle. They don't kick. They're lightweight most of the time, unless they're loaded down with a lot of different equipment. And that's the thing. If I didn't have a shotgun here, that is what I would choose to have for most of my home protection, be it against coyote or addicts, because that's the sad truth of what we live in today. And it's just the drugs are getting worse. I'm telling you, where I live, it is so bad. And I live in an area where most people would think that nothing goes on. Hell, yesterday, the bank down the street from the school was robbed. At gunpoint. Then this happened. This is the 3rd time I've had to deal with somebody on meth since we've lived here. And we've lived here 7 years. That may sound like not a lot, but considering that we moved out here to get away from the city and all that stuff, 3 times is 3 times too many. Not to mention the numerous times that I've seen and had to hear people who are intoxicated, high on things, screaming and yelling at each other. And I'm not going to call the police on that because it's not my business. They're on their own property. But screams for help when you live around people like that go unheard. And I don't know how many of the houses that are even in earshot of us are even occupied. I know the one next to us is, but they would never hear me. The one behind me is, they would never hear me. The one across the street is, but they don't know me. The church's alarm goes off, and I'm the only one that ever acknowledges it, is our family. So, yeah. Like I said, it's not the weapon, it's the person behind it. I lost a good dear friend of mine, was shot to death 5 times in the back, and his shooter was never prosecuted, never arrested, nothing. You know, I've had knives pulled on me. I've been stabbed. I had a guy try to rob me and my ex-husband with a BB gun, which I just laughed at him because I realized that it wasn't an actual gun. These are the things that I've put up with. These are the things that drove me to get a concealed carry permit and to protect my children. Because staying on the phone and waiting on the police sometimes isn't fast enough. So please remember that.